Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. In this upload, we'll be reading 1 Kings chapter 17. And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. So he went and did according unto the word of the Lord, for he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank of the brook. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belonged to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering of sticks. And he called to her and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand. And she said, As the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said unto her, Fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and for thy son. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, The barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went and did according to the sayings of Elijah, and she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Elijah. And it came to pass after these things, that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. And she said unto Elijah, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance, and to slay my son? And he said unto her, Give me thy son. And she took him out of her bosom, and carried him up into a loft, where he abode, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn, by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child, and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, See, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Elijah, Now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth. 1 Kings 16. This chapter documents the change in leadership of Israel, the territory that does not include Judah. Every change in leadership in this chapter occurs during Asa's reign over Judah, and this chapter details each change through comparison. So, Asa's 41-year reign begins in the previous chapter. Nadab, who is Jeroboam's son, becomes king of Israel in Asa's 2nd year. Baasha, an unrelated man, kills Nadab to become king in Asa's 3rd year. Elah, Baasha's son, becomes king in Asa's 26th year. Zimri, Elah's servant, killed Elah as he was getting drunk in Asa's 27th year. Omri, Israel's military captain, was chosen over Zimri in Asa's 31st year. Tibni, an unrelated man, becomes king over half of Israel, but is overpowered by Omri and dies. Omri regains control over Israel. Ahab, Omri's son, becomes king in Asa's 38th year. Ahab marries Jezebel. 1 Kings 17. Elijah tells King Ahab that it won't rain until he says, God tells Elijah to live near a river and ravens will bring him food. Once the body of water dries up, God tells Elijah to go to a town that a widowed single mother will take him in. Her meager food supply stretches far enough to sustain herself, her son, and Elijah for days. Elijah's prayer revives her sick son, restoring the widow's faith. Okay, we're going to be summarizing 1 Kings chapter 17. So in verse 1, Elijah, he doesn't have a title. He doesn't seem to have any uh I mean, he just seems like some guy because it doesn't call him a prophet right now. He just goes to the king of Israel and just says, hey, it's not going to be any more rain or dew until I say so. Then it says here, the word of the Lord came unto him and tells him to go hide by a brook that God has commanded ravens to bring him food. So Elijah obeys. So this means he's living outside, depending on animals to bring him food. So he's not home. Is he homeless? Flesh in the morning, bread and flesh by evening. So this has to be happening more than 1 or 2 days. So he's essentially just living outside. The brook dries up, and then God says to him, hey, go to this city because there's a widow woman that's going to sustain you. So this man that has no title, seemingly no income, goes from living outside, homeless, to living with a widow woman. And when he finds this widow woman, the first thing he says to her is, oh, yeah, can you please get me some water? And also, while you're at it, can you bring me some bread? She responds to him, I don't have a cake, but I have a little bit of meal. I have a little bit of stuff to make a cake with, but I was just going to make what I have left, and me and my son were just going to prepare to die. And Elijah's response is, oh, don't be afraid. Uh, Go and do as you wanted to do, but first make me something to eat. First, make me a sandwich. No, I guess this is before they had sandwiches. So he says, thus saith the Lord God, your materials to make food with will last until God sends rain on the earth. And so she did according to what Elijah asked, brought him water, brought him some bread, and the meal and the oil lasted. It stretched for her, her son, and for Elijah. And then in verse 17, her son gets sick. And the first thing she says is, have you come to call my sin to remembrance? This woman is a single mother who's just taken in a homeless man. And the first thing she says when something happens to her son was, is this something that I did? Sometimes it's really easy for women to feel guilt about their past. And God forgives immediately. You should forgive yourself immediately. You have to remember about the Bible. This information, Adam and Eve, one other lesson that we should get is all of our information as women is dictated to us through a man. And the man that dictates the information to us, he doesn't even follow the information that he gives us. So if you make a mistake, forgive yourself quickly. Forgive yourself quickly in the same day, because that's how quickly God forgives you. God does not require you to beg and grovel for his forgiveness. And as you see, God didn't bring that up. She brought it up when her son gets sick, because that's usually how it happens. No one else brings up your guilt. You feel guilty yourself and bring it up. Forgive yourself quickly. So her son gets sick. Elijah says, give me your son. And Elijah carried the son to where he was sleeping. And he prays over the son. God heard the voice of Elijah. The soul of the child came back. And this inspired faith in the widow. One thing that I would like to just point out, right? What's his widow's name? You don't know this widow's name, do you? Because I don't know either. It didn't mention what her name was. All right. But what I do want you to look at, 1 Kings chapter 16, so verse 31, We know who Jezebel is immediately, don't you? One thing that I really am understanding about reading this book is like you learn how to read through information that men give to make an assertion. You get information about the men through reading. How can I say this? You read through the information, you sift through the information that the man gives you to learn something about the man. We know that men wrote this book. So the woman that's evil, you know what her name is. You know who she's married to. You know her lineage. She's a princess of a Canaanite king. But this widow woman, this single mother that took in this homeless man, and he starts making requests as soon as he sees her. Hey, bring me this and bring me that. The men that wrote this didn't even think to put her name in the Bible. When you read through Deuteronomy, you understand why God didn't allow Moses to go lead Israel into Canaan, even though he manifested all these wonderful miracles. If we learn how to read through the information that men give us, we can avoid a lot of uh, discomfort in life. And that's really what we're going to have to do, because all the information, that's what Adam and Eve was saying. Like, we're going to get all of our information from the man, and then he's not going to follow the information. So, and then he'll get mad at you for what decisions he takes his free will and makes. So, in order for us to our safety is in prevention. Our safety is before we have sex. Our safety is before we give attention. Our safety is before we get pregnant. Because once you do it, you can't go back. So you have to be able to read through the information that men give you and make a determination about who the man is. Okay? All right. Well, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.